Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zakka. Jacob, the Gujarat campaign has gotten down and dirty and intensely personal. Today, the Prime Minister responded to the Ravan jibe that was made at him by Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge. The Prime Minister said that those who denied the existence of Ram are now abusing Rambhakts. The Congress has been hurt politically in Gujarat in the past as well when they have made personal attacks against Mr. Modi. Case in point being the Maut Ka Saudagar remark by Sonia Gandhi in 2007 and the Neech Kisam Ka Aadmi remark by Manishankar Iyer before the 2017 elections. Will this Ravan comment cost the Congress Gujarat 2022?
तुम्हारी सूरत कितनी बार देखना, कारपोरेशन में भी तुम्हारी सूरत देखना, एमएलए इलेक्शन भी तुम्हारी सूरत देखना, एमपी इलेक्शन में भी तुम्हारी सूरत देखना, हर जगह कितने भाई क्या आपके रावण के जैसा 100 मुख है क्या है?
This remark by Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge against the Prime Minister sparked a political storm in election season. And on a day when Gujarat voted for the first phase, the Prime Minister hit back at the Ravan reference.
ભાઈઓ બહેનો, આપણે જાણીએ છીએ કે આ કોંગ્રેસ પાર્ટી એ રામના અસ્તિત્વને સ્વીકાર નથી કરતી. આ કોંગ્રેસ પાર્ટી એને તો રામ સેતુ સામે વાંધો. એવી કોંગ્રેસ પાર્ટી મને ગાળો બોલવા માટે રામાયણમાંથી રાવણને લઈ આવી, બોલો, અને સૌનો પ્રયાસ.
Addressing a packed rally in Gujarat's Kalol, Prime Minister Modi urged the public to teach Congress a lesson for targeting him.
કોંગ્રેસ પાર્ટીમાં તો કોમ્પિટિશન ચાલે છે, કોમ્પિટિશન, કે કોણ મોદીને વધારે ગાળો બોલે, કોણ મોદીને મોટી ગાળો બોલે અને કોણ મોદીને તીખી ગાળો બોલે. આ કોંગ્રેસના લોકોને હવે સુધારવા પડે કે ના સુધારવા પડે? સુધારવાનો રસ્તો કયો? 5મી તારીખ કમળ ઉપર બટન દબાવો.
Earlier this week, Kharge questioned why votes were being sought in the name of the Prime Minister in every election instead of local candidates or the performance of government.
मोदी को देखकर वोट दो. अब भाई तुम्हारे को तुम्हारी सूरत कितनी बार देखना, कितने भाई क्या आपके रावण के जैसा 100 मुख है क्या है?
In 2007, Sonia Gandhi made the infamous Maut Ka Saudagar reference to Modi.
गुजरात की सरकार चलाने वाले झूठे बेईमानी दौर और मौत के सौदागर हैं.
In 2016, it was Rahul Gandhi's खून की दलाली swipe.
उनके खून के पीछे आप छुपे हुए हो, उनकी आप दलाली कर रहे हो.
इस परिवार.
And in 2017, Manishankar Iyer's Neech jibe at the Prime Minister changed the political narrative.
मुझको लगता है कि ये आदमी बहुत नीच किस्म का आदमी है.
Today, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a 3-hour mega road show across 16 assembly constituencies in Ahmedabad for the second phase of the Gujarat Assembly election. Huge crowds lined the streets across 50 kilometers as Prime Minister Modi's convoy passed through. Will the personal attacks against the Prime Minister only backfire for the Congress?
All right, joining us on the talking point this evening, Nalin Kohli, BJP National Spokesperson, Adil Singh Boprai of the Congress will be joining us. Professor Nalin Mehta is Group Consulting Editor with Network 18, author of The New BJP. Mansvi Thapar is a political analyst and MD Nalapat, political analyst, also joining us. Nalin, let me start with you first, Nalin Kohli. What the Congress is saying is you're only focusing on the fact that Mr. Kharge used the word Ravan, but not focusing on what he said preceding that, which is why should there be the Prime Minister's face for corporation election, MLA election, MP election?
If that was the point that Mr. Kharge wished to make, then he could have simply kept that. What was the need to personalize it? And he is only joining a long list of very eminent Congress leaders who have gone out to hurl the choicest of abuses to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Neech, Gandhi Nali Ka Keeda, Bandar, Ghachi, Nipunsak, Maut Ka Saudagar, Hitler, and now you have Ravan. So at the end of the day, it has to be seen in a context. It obviously seems that a whole pantheon of Congress leaders are from time to time on a regular basis hurling these kind of abuses on Prime Minister Modi. So obviously there seems to be a pattern to it. You can't say this is a one-off. Had Mr. Kharge been the first and the only one, perhaps the Congress could have hidden behind an argument like this, but this is an argument of convenience. Okay. Instead of apologizing, the Congress party in fact is going one step ahead. It is justifying it and saying, no, you should answer, ignore the abuse. This is a new approach. I mean, it takes the hurt further, and I think it personalizes it even more.
Adil Singh Boparai, the point that Nalin Kohli was making is that there's a pattern to this, from Motka Saudagar to all kinds of names have been given by Congress leaders to the Prime Minister at various points of time. And it has cost you politically. If it was a one-off, Mr. Kharge's comments of referring to the Prime Minister as Ravan, if it was a one-off, there was no problem with it. But because there seems to be a pattern, then that's a problem.
Zakka, he is a sympathy seeker. And yes, indeed, there is a pattern. And the pattern since 2002 is to play the victim card. The fact of the matter today is that the entire BJP politics revolves around I, me, myself. 1.4 billion Indians are more concerned about daily issues. Over 100 people have died at Morbi. Do you see the Prime Minister speaking about this? Are the directors of the company and the owners of the company behind bars? The Gujarat High Court calls the Ahmedabad Civil Hospital and compares it with a dungeon. Is the Prime Minister perturbed by that analogy? Indian citizens died because of consuming illicit liquor in Gujarat. Is the Prime Minister concerned about it? Today, a middle-class family has to pay 1,150 rupees for a gas cylinder. Is the Prime Minister concerned about it? And coming to the issue of abuses, I would urge you to please ask my BJP friend to respond to what the Prime Minister had said about Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, who is the wife of late Shaheed Rajiv Gandhi ji. There were terms like Jersey cow which were used for a lady. I think that hurts my sensibility. I don't know about my friends from the BJP's sensibilities. To refer to a senior Congress leader, a senior leader of the country, forget Congress for a moment, by terming or calling somebody in such a derogatory manner, I think that hurts Indian sensibility.
Okay. let Nalin respond, and then after that I'll open this up to our other guests. Nalin, so the PM has also made personalized comments against Congress leaders in the past.
So I'll certainly thank my colleague on the other side, Adil, for coming out with a self-defeating self-goal. What a wonderful analogy. It hurts, and he builds on the whole hurt. But then, of course, he's expecting that Prime Minister Modi was delighted, being called Nipunsak, Neech, Bandar, Gandik, Nalika, Kida, and now Ravan, Hitler. So, I mean, therefore, that self-defeating argument, I think, gets over. If these were the concerns that the Congress party had on other issues, the debate could have been put up on that. Instead of going on the debate, they personalize it and attacking him. And there's a pattern to it and there's a reason for it.
Okay.
They perhaps have reached a point where they realize, in terms of leadership, they can't compete with him. So tarnish the leadership. Let's hope that the anti-BJP vote consolidates because we hurl abuses to Prime Minister Modi. Okay. Let's personalize it. But actually, if the Congress party just does a little introspection, and they've been long enough in power, you win elections by going out there, not on sympathy votes. Perhaps with the Congress it applied when the late Indira Gandhi was assassinated and Rajiv Gandhi came on that wave. Perhaps it was further in terms of the Congress it applied a sympathy vote when the late Rajiv Gandhi was unfortunately assassinated. And again, the Congress came back to power. So they may be looking at it from the prism of sympathy.
Okay.
The BJP doesn't need to go out with a sympathy vote. They go on their performance.
Okay.
And that's how we have been doing it in election after election.
Okay, let me open this up to our analysts now. MD Nalapat first. You know, you've been saying this since morning as well, and we've been, anecdotally, when our reporters go and speak to the Gujarati voters who were there in the polling booths today, this election is about Modi. Like last election was also about Modi. And here's the fascinating thing. Mr. Modi is not even on the ticket. He is not running to be an MLA. He's not running to be Chief Minister. But for the average Gujarati voter who's coming to cast his or her vote this morning, almost all of them were saying it's about Mr. Modi. And you've been making this point as well. When it's such a highly personalized election around one person, to call him names, and like I said, in politics there are perceived insults and then there are perceived insults, but to call him names and then the BJP goes gung-ho with that or all guns blazing with that, that in the eyes of the average Gujarati voter, how is that perceived and how is that a vote determinant?
Zakka, I'm a bit surprised at these comments, frankly. I was under the impression that the Congress party had decided not to abuse Narendra Modi because he's immensely popular in Gujarat especially. He's very, very popular. And all said and done, he's a son of Gujarat. So, I mean, when you are a son of the soil, well, then others who are there in that same soil don't like you to be abused. I really believe that the Congress party had learnt its lesson from Sonia Gandhi's Mouth Ki Saudagar and Manishankar Ayer's Neech. But then Madhusudan Mistry comes along and says, oh, we are going to rename a stadium because Modi, frankly, doesn't deserve a stadium named after him. Well, that didn't create too much of sympathy for Mr. Mistry or his views. And now you have Mr. Kharge, I mean, basically making a comparison which is fairly odious, if I may say so.
Okay.
Now, of course, let me tell you, Zakka, I've been one of those who right from 2014, 2015 have argued that the Prime Minister should not get involved in election after election. There's no question about it. But Gujarat is special. Let's be honest about that. There's a reason why the Prime Minister is there. Gujarat is very special because a good showing in Gujarat will actually strengthen the government in a sense in terms of public opinion, and a bad showing will have the other effect.
Okay.
So from that point of view, Gujarat is important. And again, I would like to say, abusing Narendra Modi is very bad politics.
It's counterproductive.
Sure
And we've seen evidence of that in election after election. Nalin Mehta, but also it's not just about the personal abuse. The way the Prime Minister responded today to Mr. Kharge's attack, saying those who denied the existence of Ram via this affidavit that they filed in the Ram Setu matter in the Supreme Court, they are today abusing Rambhakts. So he's also framing this in the context of Ram and Ram Bhakti, and of course the subtext being that Mr. Modi laid the foundation stone for the Ram Temple. The Ram Temple will be ready by 2024. So that aspect is also there. I mean, you can call it, political twisting of words, if you will, but again, it's an attack nonetheless.
Yes, Zakka, I agree. I think Prime Minister Modi is a past master at political wordplay. I think he's a communicator par excellence in modern politics, which is part of his core part of his brand identity, if you like. I think this is a tactical mistake by the Congress. I agree with MD Nalapat. The Congress, every time Modi is personally insulted, it by the opposition at an individual level, it ends up strengthening the Prime Minister's brand equity. And I think the BJP has reacted to it gleefully because in the past, in fact, actually in 2018, if I can remind your viewers, the BJP actually took out a press release saying, counting the number of times Modi had been personally insulted by the Congress. In fact, the headline was Congresi नेताओं द्वारा प्रधानमंत्री मोदी को कहे गए अपशब्द. And this particular jibe of Ravan, Rakshas Raj Ravan, was initially used by Digvijay Singh long before. The fact of the matter is, every time this happens, this ends up playing into the BJP's hands, and the Prime Minister has reacted to it. So I think it's a complete tactical mistake by the Congress for the simple reason that, look, whether you like Mr. Modi or not, he enjoys a huge cachet in Gujarat in particular, and attacking him personally is never going to work.
Okay, let me ask Manasvi Thapar. Again, we had this incredible moment, again, a small sample, anecdotal, you can call it what you want, but every time our reporters spoke to voters who were queued up at the booths today and asked them, mudde kya hai? What are the issues? What are the issues that matter to you? I think 9 out of 10 of them said, yahan pe to kuch issue hi nahi hai. जो विकास हो रहा है उसको चलने दीजिए, जो काम कर रहा है उसको करने दीजिए, यहाँ तो इश्यू ही नहीं है. So in such an election, to go and attack the person who is seen, for, whether you like him or not, and Nalin is right, You may agree with his politics, you may not agree with his politics, you may like him, you may not like him, but to attack the person who has been seen as the symbol of development and vikas in that state for the last 3 decades, personally, that politically defies any logic, any sense, Manasvi Thapar.
Yeah, you like it, Zakka, you like it or not, but the brand Modi is bigger than BJP. The brand Modi is the biggest brand today. And that is why, so because brand Modi and Modi ji himself knows that these guys will not win the election. That is why he has to come to Gujarat and fight election on his name. He knows that Bhupendra Patel or anyone in the Gujarat cadre can win this election. That is why we had the biggest roadshow ever in the history of this country's politics. 50 kilometers was covered by Prime Minister himself. This is all about Prime Minister. And that is why the brand Modi is bigger than the administration of Gujarat. That is why we see the incidents like Morbi happen. And then also people believe in brand Modi over the muddas of Gujarat. That is why in the last 7-8 years, we have seen 3 chief minister change. 2017 election was consistently fought on Prime Minister Modi and on Vijay Rupani ji, and suddenly he had to leave after the COVID crisis. And Bhupendra Patel is now the new chief minister. We never know, and he does not even know that how long he's going to be there. So the reality is, brand Modi works for BJP. Brand Modi works to attract the voters. Brand Modi works to convert votes into states and winning elections. But the reality is, when it comes to administration part of it, the Gujarat government have completely failed on that particular part. They could not even write the name on the FIR of the Oreva owners. That is how the miserable state of affairs is. Because the brand Modi is so big, because Modi ji is Gujarat ka ladka, because people of Gujarat loves him, because he's the Prime Minister also, the kind of work he does for BJP or the kind of work he's doing for Gujarat election, we don't see the local leaders doing that.
No, so I want to take a point that Manasvi made to Nalin. You know, I've covered quite a few elections in my career in the last 20 years. I've yet to come across an election, a state election, where a chief minister has not done a single press conference or even given interviews during campaign time. Surely, taking Manasvi's point forward, like I said, Mr. Modi is not on the ticket. Yes, Mr. Nalapat's point is valid. He is from that state. It's a matter of prestige and pride, no doubt about it. But the chief minister is absolutely basically incognito. Nalin Kohli.
Okay, good to know it's Nalin Kohli. You have a Nalin Kohli and a Nalin Mehta, so Nalin is not exactly clear.
Sorry.
Which one of us was being asked the question? No, that's okay. Not at all, Zakka. I'm just simply pointing out it's a fact. There's no offense meant. We share the same first name. So anyway, coming back to your question, I think Manaswani makes several interesting points that you'll pardon me for saying so, but debunk themselves on their own. So he says, here is a man whose brand is bigger than the BJP, etc. I think India has seen this consistently over its independent history. You've always had a brand bigger than the party. You had the Congress has for so many years built on the Nehruvian brand, Nehru as a brand, then Indira Gandhi, then Rajiv Gandhi. They still do on the Nehru-Gandhi family. The Nehru-Gandhi family is far bigger than what they claim is the 125 years of the Congress. So here is a man from an ordinary family who suddenly comes up through the ranks all his life, makes it and establishes himself in the hearts of the people. He's won the first election, first single party government in 30 years. Give it to him, grant it to him. He runs that government for 5 years and then after that the people elect him again. It's not a favor. You go there, you put out your report card, people then put their finger on the button they want to vote at. And the BJP is back. So what is wrong in that? How can you find fault with that? What is the argument against Prime Minister Modi or Narendra Modi as the man for being popular, charismatic and an effective leader?
No. I don't think that's the point he was making.
One whose job day in and day out is there.
Nalin, I don't think
I don't think
that's the point he was making. The point he was making
I'm sorry if I got it wrong, but that's how I saw it.
The point he was making is, it is at the end of the day a state election. The chief minister is almost inconsequential in this election.
Zakka, can I come in?
Nalin Kohli, yeah.
So therefore I'll come in. Sure, I'm sure. Maybe I've got it wrong, but let me take it on that in what you're saying. The second part is, in the BJP, we are Karyakartas. We are first among equals in terms of being a Karyakarta. We are Karyakartas first than anything else. End of the day, it is a BJP government. It's a government that works on an ideology and an agenda. The agenda is Vikas. As simple as that. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. That agenda is done. And that is how the government comes back. So now you find fault with people who are doing their job quietly because they didn't have a cup of tea with a set of people who said that, why haven't you had a cup of tea with us and answered our questions?
No. Nalin, having a cup of tea and answering journalist questions, we anyway hardly ever get to do that with politicians these days. Secondly, during election time is when we get to do that. But in this election, but in this election, we've not had that either, and it's very odd. I can't remember a last election where a sitting chief minister has not given a single interview or done a single press conference at election time. But nonetheless,
correct.
Let Manasvi respond, and then I'll get Adil after that. Yeah.
I wasn't.
Zakka,
I would not agree with
Zakka,
that.
This is not the case.
Statement.
Can I come?
Okay,
Zakka, this is not the case when Nalin Bhai did not understand the question. He understood the question very well. It is the limitation of being a spokesperson also. So when basic questions like, what is the Chief Minister of Gujarat doing? We don't have any answers. What happened in Morbi? We don't have answers. Why do Oreva group chairman and the leadership is still out free? Why can't they be even named in FIR? You win elections on brand Modi ji. That's great for you. It's working. But is it working for basic people? 135 people who have lost their life for their family. Is it working for?
No, but Manasvi, one second. Can you then explain to me? One second. Can you then explain to me? If there were all of these issues, inflation, joblessness, all of these issues, and we had reporters today, and both Mr. Nalapat and Nalin Mehta were both there in the morning panel today, so they'll vouch for this. It's not like I'm making this stuff up.
Correct.
We had reporters in Surat and we had reporters in Rajkot, admittedly urban constituencies. These issues that you're flagging, whether it is Morbi, whether it is inflation, jobs, should affect the urban middle class more than it should affect anyone else.
Correct.
I mean, 9 out of 10 of those people said, yahan to mudda hi nahi hai, koi issue nahi hai, we are all very happy. I mean, one of our anchors even said, Gujarat has to be the most uncomplaining state, most uncomplaining electorate. Matlab, kuch to sahi ho raha hoga wahan pe.
Precisely. I started my dialogue with this, that Modi ji's brand is bigger than the mudda. That is precisely the point. Just because opposition could not raise it, just because there is no mudda, that is not the case. Muddas are there. That is what I'm trying to tell the people in power. The muddas are there. Just because of lack of opposition, and you put it on Rahul Gandhi or you put it on Arvind Kejriwal, that does not mean muddas are not there. You should act. People love you. People love you since 27 years, and people have taken you to the center. Now, correct the muddas. Why should there be muddas when people give you so much of love and respect? People stand for you.
Adil respond. It is the incapability of the opposition that you are not making any of these issues into a plausible one, into a solid one, into an electorally beneficial one for you. And that's on you. That's on the opposition.
Give me 60 seconds. Give me 60 seconds of uninterrupted time. Number one, don't you find it odd that the Prime Minister of this country has not addressed a single press conference in 8 years? You find it odd that the Gujarat Chief Minister has not addressed a press conference, but don't you find it odd that Mr. Modi has not addressed a press conference?
No. Given interviews. I added that as well. Mr. Modi has given interviews, quite a few of them before 2014 and of course before 2019.
Zakka,
but anyway, go on.
When is the last time that Mr. Modi has given a press conference? Never since 2014.
Okay.
But be that as it may, please understand. Today, he has emasculated almost every institution in this country. Morbi is not an alleged issue. Morbi is an issue. 100 people have lost their lives. Go speak to their families. Send your reporters to the Morbi victims and they'll give you an answer. Send your reporters to those who lost their lives during COVID. Send them to Ahmedabad Civil Hospital. They will respond to your questions. Then you judge whether it's a complaining electorate or it is a complacent electorate. The fact of the matter today is, if you want to look at it objectively, if you want to look at it from a very blinkered view, then that's a different story.
Okay.
But if you want to look at it objectively, the economy is in the dumps. Job scarcity is a reality. People died in COVID. I'm not making it up on your television. People died because of basic lack of healthcare. People died because of lack of oxygen supply. Adil Bopara and the Congress party are not making it up. Zakka Jacob saw it from his own eyes. He heard it from his own ears. So at the end of the day, the voters will decide. Ultimately, in a democracy, the voters will judge.
No.
Neither am I nor
again,
Mr. Nalapat,
you're missing the point. I'll give Nalin Kohli a chance to respond, and then Nalin Mehta, and after that, Mr. Nalapat. I think the opposition is missing the point in as much as no one is saying that people did not die in Gujarat because of COVID. What has happened though is, maybe public memory is short, I don't know, but Nalin Kohli, what has happened though is, at least anecdotally speaking, when our reporters spoke to voters today at the polling booth, they were all saying, "Aaj mudda hi nahi hai." And it's not like muddas are not there. Morbi was a mudda, COVID was a mudda. Frankly, I think a chief minister. One second. I'm asking the question. Frankly, I think a chief minister who is, for all practical purposes, incognito, that's an issue. But the voters are not saying any of that. Nalin Kohli.
So I have multiple points to make. The first one is on Morbi. The Prime Minister himself went there. Of course. Our heart bleeds. Those young children and others who died on a bridge. And of course action is being taken, will be taken. This is not an issue. The Prime Minister himself was there. That's the first point. Second, let's come to COVID. I think the question that really needs to be asked is, after the Congress was 55 years here and in 70 years of independence, we didn't even have the capacity to build PPE kits. We had 14,500 ventilators in the whole of India for a 1.2 billion, 1.3 billion people. It begs the question, why so little? In the period of the next 6 months to 8 months, the ventilator beds became more than double. This country produced its own PPE kits, produced its own masks, ensured that hydroxychloroquine reached out to multiple countries, developed its own vaccine, and 250 crore doses have already been given. So therefore, it's not about this is running down work. The problem is, on one side you have the Congress party, which believes on the politics of entitlement.
Okay.
Oh, here comes the first family. Here we are. Now we may deliver something. And Garibi Hatao will be our Nara. In 40 years, we won't remove Garibi. Now you have the lowest number of people in 8 years of Modi who are below the poverty line. The lowest figure ever. So don't deny when work is done. The problem is the Congress doesn't have a narrative to be able to compare their performance with the superlative performance of
time. I'm completely out of time. I'll give MD Nalapat the final word. I think, to be fair to not just the Gujarati electorate, but anywhere in this country, you have to judge the intelligence of the voter. The voter is not going to blindly give his or her vote. At the end of the day, if work has been done, that will be rewarded. And if work has not been done, then that will be accordingly punished. So at some level, you have to acknowledge that if the BJP has been there for the last 27 years, kuch to kaam hua hoga Gujarat mein.
Well, Zakka, I'd like to say that parties don't win elections, parties lose elections. And the reality is that you may have a situation in which the voter says, yes, there are problems, there are issues. And I'll certainly be the first to say to you that the performance of Narendra Modi as Chief Minister was not basically reproduced by any of his successors, not by a long shot. There's no question about that. But what is the alternative? The Congress party today, you're seeing the chaos in Rajasthan. You're seeing, when it was there in Maharashtra, nothing very spectacular there, if I may say so.
Okay.
So where is the alternative that is being cobbled up? It's not just a question of mudda. The question is, do you have any kind of treatment for that mudda?
Okay.
I'll give. Can you show that you are better?
All right. I'll give Dr. Nalin Mehta the final word. 30 seconds. I've got to really wrap up, Nalin. But I think Mr. Nalapat makes a fair point. When the left got dislodged after 34 years in Bengal, it was not just the anger after Nandigram and Singur and stuff, but there was a face, an alternate face that they could rally around in Mamata Banerjee. In the case of Gujarat, we haven't seen that alternate face or that opposition leadership who is giving a choice to the Gujarati voter.
No, absolutely, Zakka. And in the last election in 2017, the Congress ran the BJP close. Rahul Gandhi, it was his first election just before he formally took over as the president of the Congress party at that time. He led from the front. He campaigned almost as much in terms of kilometerage as the Prime Minister, and they ran the BJP close. In the last 5 years, almost everybody who was the leading light of that agitation, on the Patidar agitation, has moved to the BJP. Several Congress MLAs have defected to the BJP and so on. And you've not had an effective opposition in Gujarat. I think the fact of the matter is the BJP remains by far the numero uno in Gujarat. Also, if you're a Congress voter, you've got to ask yourself, we've always voted for the Congress party, but the leading lights of the party are not campaigning in Gujarat.
Okay. All right. I'm completely out of time. Thank you very much. As one newspaper headline said, there is anti-incumbency in Gujarat, but the anti-incumbency is on the opposition. We'll leave it at that. I'll take a quick break. When we come back, Delhi cops have challenged the clean chit given to Shashi Tharoor in the death of his late wife, Sunanda Pushkar. Question being asked, is this a witch hunt or is this a warranted appeal?